Can I welcome the honourable member to his place and thank him for raising this important issue in relation to water. And customers should not pay the price for the mismanagement by water companies, and we've already announced immediate steps to put water companies under tougher regime, and the Minister for Water will meet the bosses of failing companies to hold them to account for their performance. After 14 years of failure with our rivers and beaches, it falls to this government of service to fix the mess of the failure of the last 14 years.
It's the same old shit, just blaming everybody.
I welcome the Prime Minister to his
Blaming
place.
the other side.
Mr. Speaker, many young trans people and their families are extremely concerned
didn't know this was on, but I
about
thought
the
it would be
restrictions on
interesting.
puberty blockers implemented by the last government. One of my constituents, a parent of a trans child, told me, "I'm so worried about my child. I'm terrified."
It's the tranny apocalypse again, man. It's the same old shite. Literally, sometimes the shite in the water.
With young trans people, their families and organisations supporting them, so that he can hear why they feel so strongly that these restrictions must be reversed.
Can I welcome the honourable friend back to her place? Our guiding principles must be the well-being of children. And this is a serious government.
Some gears on the gear, some gears on the gear. He can't breathe through his nose cause it's full of gear.
The CAS review was clear that there's not enough evidence on the long-term impact of puberty blockers to know if they're safe. And the Health Secretary will consult with organisations supporting young people and families. And I will ensure that there is a meeting with her and the relevant minister as soon as that can be arranged.
Now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Rishi Sunak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join with the Prime Minister in expressing my shock at the attack on a British soldier? Our thoughts are with him and his family as we wish him a speedy recovery. And I also join with the Prime Minister in his warm words about our Olympic athletes.
Now, let's have a wee look at the latest open your mouth before you fucking know what's actually happening bullshit from Tommy Ross. Where the fuck is this coming from? There it's there.
No doubt that after years of training, focus and dedication, they'll bring back many gold medals. Although, to be honest, I'm probably not the first person they want to hear advice from on how to win. But I'm glad in our exchanges...
Oh, it's so funny!
I'm glad, Mr. Speaker...
It's hilarious! Oh.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad in our exchanges
That's
so
how
far we have
serious they
maintained a
fucking take it.
cross-party consensus on important matters of foreign policy. And in that spirit today, I want to focus
how
our
serious
exchange on Ukraine
these
and national
motherfuckers
security.
take it.
The UK has consistently been the first country to provide new capabilities to Ukraine, such as the long-range weapons that have been used so effectively in the Black Sea.
Bombs for everybody!
And I was grateful to the Prime Minister for his support as I made those decisions in government. And in opposition, I offer that same support to him. So can I ask that he continues to be responsive to Ukraine's new requests so that they don't just stand still, but can decisively win out against Russian aggression?
Can I thank the Leader of the Opposition for not only raising the question of Ukraine, but doing it in a way which can maintain the unity across this House, which has been so
important. I need to stop listening to, broadcast Annie, but see, listen to these cretins talk on headphones, man. It is a nightmare.
How they deal with the Russian aggression that they are facing, have been facing for many, many months. And
no one can speak properly, man. What's wrong with him? Now, that guy's got a face like a melted belly boot. He's clearly had plastic surgery. And it sounds like there's something on his nose, because that's why I'm kind of fucking brave.
Thank him for that response. Now, I also found that one of the UK's key roles as Ukraine's closest ally is to encourage other countries to follow our lead in providing new military capabilities. And in that vein, when he saw Chancellor Scholz recently, I'm sure he thanked him for the considerable air defence that the Germans are providing the Ukrainians. But did he also raise with him the issue of the Germans perhaps providing long-range missiles, just as the UK, America, and
so they can, so Ukraine can start fucking rattling fuck out Moscow.
I had the opportunity
we could possibly,
in Washington at the NATO Council
possibly
to talk to our German counterparts There was a strong theme there on Ukraine.
Great fun, man.
Discussed with all of our allies. And part of my message was to urge all of our allies to provide further support where they can to the Ukrainian people, and that was
Where's the anti-war?
There was unity coming out of the NATO Council.
Where's the anti-war mob? It's just... There is no choice
I'm glad
but
to
war.
hear the Prime Minister raise at the NATO summit as well, because I very much welcome the message that came out loud and clear from that summit, and indeed the Prime Minister's words from the dispatch box on Monday about Ukraine's
bombs for
irreversible
everybody.
path to NATO
Invest
membership.
in
And so does he agree
arms
with me
companies.
that fatuous Russian claims
Your
on
money
Ukrainian
is going to be
territory must not act
safe.
as a block to Ukraine joining the NATO defensive alliance?
I wholeheartedly agree, and it is for NATO
Ukraine
allies to decide
and
who is a
Ukraine
member
and NATO.
of NATO, formed
That'll help
75 years
things.
ago, a proud and probably most successful alliance that's ever been formed.
No,
And
just
that's
bear in
why
mind
it
this
was
one
really
thing.
important at the
If
summit that we were
Ukraine
able to say
was
there
in
is now
NATO
this
right now,
irreversible path to membership.
it's
That's a
on like
step
Donkey
forward
Kong.
from a year ago, and President Zelensky was very pleased that we've been able to make that successful transition.
Leader of the Opposition.
Thanks to the complex legal and diplomatic work that the UK has led over the past several months, together with our allies Canada and America, the Prime Minister will, I hope, now find that there is a sound and established legal basis to go further on sanctions and seize Russian assets and use them to fund Ukrainian reconstruction. Now, that work has
Don't
taken
you just
time,
love
but I
all
hope
this
he
legal...
is
Yeah,
able to
you
take
get
a
legal
look at it
basis
and
to
can confirm
steal
for the
your
House
shit because
that
we're
this
at war
work
with
is
you.
something that he will take forward, because if he does, I can assure him that the opposition will support him in doing so.
Again, I'm grateful for this opportunity to say how united we were on the question of sanctions across this House. The use now made of what has been seized and frozen is an important issue on which I think we can move forward. And I know the Chancellor is already beginning to have some discussions about how we can take more effective measures. Again, I will seek to reach out across the House as we do this important work together.
Came out from my
Very much
last week.
welcome the Prime Minister's response. But I also welcome both his and the Defence Secretary's recent emphasis on the importance of the Tempest fighter jet
I
programme.
don't know if he's of
It's
clocked.
a crucial
They were
sovereign
talking about the
capability, as
army
you
officer
mentioned,
that
and
was
important for our alliances with Italy and
stabbed
Japan.
in
Furthermore,
Kent,
however,
and
other countries
Tommy
also
Robinson's
wish to
Twitter's all
participate.
over it. Like,
And in
we
government,
know
we
it
had
really
begun initial
happened.
productive
They're
discussions
saying
with
it's
our friend
not
and ally
terror,
Saudi
but we
Arabia
know
about
it
their
is.
desire to potentially join
you're
the
talking
programme.
absolute
So could the
pish.
Prime Minister confirm that he will continue those initial positive conversations with Saudi Arabia?
Absolutely,
And
just
again,
making
I can
stuff
assure
up now.
him that he
They
will have
call
our
it Tommy
support in
Robinson,
doing
man.
so.
All right, Pete, my
Well,
man,
let
how
me
you doing?
make this absolutely clear. This is a really important programme. Significant progress has already been made, and we want to build on that progress. And I've had some initial discussions, not least in Farnborough, where I was just a few days ago.
Leader of the Opposition.
Finally, Mr. Speaker, can I just say that in the dangerous and uncertain world that we now sadly live in, I know firsthand how important it is that our Prime Minister can use his prerogative.
Talking about
to quickly
Ukraine
respond
joining
to the
NATO and then
terrorists
going,
to protect
oh, it's
British
really
national
bad, we
security.
stay in a really,
Sometimes
really,
we
really
this
scary
House by
time.
notice.
I know
Now, these
shit,
are perhaps the
Sherlock.
most difficult decisions
Why
that a
think
Prime
that
Minister
is your
can take,
fucking
and
ball
I
bag?
welcomed his support
I mean,
when laid
seriously.
them.
I
And I want to
mean,
take
these
this
people
opportunity
are not
to assure him of
stupid.
the opposition's
This is
support
theatre
if he
for
deems
the
it
dumbed
necessary to
down
take
masses.
similar
Let's
action
be
in the
honest about
future.
it.
So does he
It's
agree with me
exactly
that
what it
whilst
is.
the use of the prerogative power is sometimes politically controversial, it is essential to ensure the safety and security of the British people?
Yeah, just like we need to attack
agree, it's
Iraq.
essential
They're
when,
going to kill us in 45
security
fucking
is the first
minutes.
issue
Oh, that was all a bunch of lies to take
I
us
was
to
grateful
war.
to the Leader of
What
the
makes
Opposition
us any
for reaching
different?
out when action had to be taken to me personally
But
to
Angela
ensure that
Rayner
I
makes
was
it a
briefed
wee bit
on the
more
sensitive
palatable.
issues that lay behind the decisions that he had to take. And as I mentioned to him last week, I will endeavour to ensure that we
I
proceed
almost
in
got
the
a
same
tan
way
yesterday,
so that he
but
has
normal
access
service
to all
is
the
resumed
information that he
today.
needs
Back
to
paperking,
come to a
grey,
determination, which I hope
grey,
will
grey,
be,
grey.
to be able to support the position that this government takes. Thank you.
Kim Ledbeach.
Mr. Speaker, and welcome back. Can I congratulate the Prime Minister on such a positive start to his premiership and on resetting the dial on politics as public service as a force.
See, I would just flood my cabinet with all the hotties.
Irrespective of our different views and
I'd have a
opinions in this
front bench
chamber
of
and beyond, it's a very
fucking
important
blondes
message.
and
And as such, would you
brunettes.
join me in wishing the very best of luck to the 83 cyclists who have
man.
set off from West Yorkshire this morning on the 9th Joe
It's
Cox Way
theatre.
bike ride.
You know, nothing
Travelling
actually happens in that
20
fucking
miles down
chamber.
the country to London,
Absolutely
celebrating all that we have in
sweet.
common through the power of
Fanny
cycling,
Adams.
including
No
cycling
discussion.
cyclists,
No,
probably quite a lot of
no
sore legs
decisions
and aching
are
muscles.
made in that chamber. It's all behind
Of course
closed
I will,
doors with
wish
the
them,
fucking whips
good luck.
and
I
wee
admire them.
rooms
I'm
with
not sure I
wooden
envy them.
paneling and
It's
shit.
280 miles. But it's a brilliant cause, and the whole house, I think, misses our dear friend Jo. And I know that she would have been incredibly proud to have
Jo
seen
Cox, is he
this
talking about
government in place, and would have played a big part in it. And, you know, I'd like to welcome my honourable friend back to her place. And I know that she will continue in Jo's spirit with the same dedication
just
and
ask her out
determination.
on a
And I think
date?
I'm right in saying that
that what you
her
said there?
parents, and of course Jo's parents, are with us in the gallery today to see this first PMQs. We will always have more in common than that which divides us.
It comes to the leader of the Lib Dems, Sir Ed Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I welcome the Prime Minister to his place at his first Prime Minister's questions? And can I associate myself and my party with the comments he made about the appalling attack on the soldier in Kent? And our thoughts are with his family and friends and comrades. And can I also associate our side with his comments on Team GB and particularly talk about how we want them to succeed in Paris? The Prime Minister has many messes that he's inherited. One of them is the scandal over the carers' allowance repayments. An example is my constituent, Andrea, who is a full-time carer for her elderly mum. She went back to work part-time, mainly for her mental health, she tells me. She was earning less than £7,000 a year and has been hit by a bill from the DWP for £4,600. But Andrea is just one of tens of thousands of carers facing these repayments, punished for working and earning just a few more pounds than the earnings limit. So will the Prime Minister agree to meet with me and other family carers to try to resolve this matter?
Yeah.
I thank the honourable member for raising this, and he, of course, has been a tireless advocate for carers. And I don't think any of us could be other than moved when we saw the video of him and his son that was put out during the election campaign. He talks about Team GB. I'm glad he's in a suit today because we're more used to seeing him in a wetsuit. But in relation to this issue, look, we have a more severe crisis than we thought as we go through the books of the last 14 years. We must review the challenges. They don't like it. There was a reason the electorate rejected them so profoundly. So we'll review the challenges that we face. We do want to work with the sector and where we can across the House to create a national care service covering all these aspects. And we'll start with carers and those that work in the care sector with a fair pay agreement. But I'm very happy to work across the House with all the people that care so passionately about this particular issue.
Fred Davey.
The Prime Minister's response. I hope he will look at this matter, though, on carers' allowance. Family carers save the taxpayer £162 billion a year. And if we get this right, many could go back into work. But there's another care crisis that's probably even bigger, and that's the crisis in social care. I'm sure, like me, he's met millions of people around the country, heard about millions of people for whom this is their biggest issue and has been for decades. After a once-in-a-century election,
Sir Kier's on gear. Sir Kier's on gear. He can't breathe through his nose because it's full of gear.
NHS.
As many come to see him, they stand and gaze at all.
On social care.
They remember Sir Kier, it's full of the fucking gear.
He's right, it is a crisis. I'm sorry to have to report to the House, it's not the only crisis that we've inherited. There's a crisis and a failure.
Aye. You know, the previous government said that, and 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 the previous government said that. Is anybody waking up to the scam yet? Every so often they change the fucking lead actor, and the lead actor goes, well, everything's so shite because of my predecessor, and that's what his predecessor exactly said.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Passing fucking
For decades, my constituent, Jack Taylor, has been continuously ignored by previous governments. He and other nuclear veterans have been denied access to their medical records and compensation. The Prime Minister has rightly said these national heroes deserve full accountability and justice. Will he therefore consider supporting a special tribunal with statutory powers into this 70-year-long scandal?
Can I first express my gratitude to the service personnel who participated in the British nuclear testing programme. It is right that I think nearly 5,000 now have got the nuclear test medals in recognition of their service, and the veterans have the right to apply for no-fault compensation under the War Pensions Scheme. And I will ensure on this issue a meeting is arranged for her with the relevant minister.
Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, may I again warmly congratulate the Prime Minister.
Oh, there's the big baldy guy, man. I like him.
Rule. In his campaign,
I think it's just because he's accent.
He was, of course.
That might be a bit biased.
They're too close for comfort now. They're too close for comfort. In his campaign to do so, Mr. Speaker, he was, of course, joined by Gordon Brown. And just 5 days before the general election in Scotland, on the front page of the Daily Record, Gordon Brown instructed voters to vote Labour to end child poverty. Yet last night, Labour MPs from Scotland were instructed to retain the two-child cap, which forces children into poverty. So, Prime Minister, what changed?
I'm glad you mentioned Gordon Brown, because the last Labour government lifted millions of children out of with the same vigour. With our new task force, already we've taken steps
that's with
clubs, abolishing no-fault evictions.
The Roman Senate was like, you know,
order.
They stamped up
Not a word to be used. Never mind, put it down. We don't need any more. Prime Minister.
Rome is left. The Roman Empire has left its
we've
marks.
set up a task force to put that vigour in place. Free breakfast clubs in every primary school, abolishing no-fault eviction, decent home standard, Awab's law, and a plan to make work pay. But I would just say this.
And who built the Colosseum?
Lectures everyone else.
The Jews.
Should explain why, since the SNP came to power, there are 30,000 more children in poverty in Scotland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to see the government's fifth
You're
action
part of the
in
Rebel
officially
Alliance and a
calling for an immediate
Kier
ceasefire, the release of all hostages, a rapid increase of humanitarian aid into
that's
Gaza,
right, hashtag,
the
there is
restoration
no
of
excuse
funds
for
UNRWA, the commitment to
tardiness.
complying with potential
You want to
ICC
pretend
arrest
I actually
warrants
know
and to
what means
recognizing
I've
a
heard it
Palestinian state. But too many innocent people are still dying every day. There is nowhere safe in Gaza. So what further pressure can the Prime Minister...
Am I stuck in a time machine where they just press pause? Or is it a loop? Is it a loop? Every time I go to bed, am I on Groundhog fucking Day? That's what I'm beginning to think. This is just Groundhog Day.
...reply to bring about an urgent ceasefire.
Both the Foreign Secretary...
Well, you see, mate, that melted welly boot fucking face cunt conspired with the Speaker and other dickheads in that fucking chamber of fucking cunts to scupper the SNP motion, which would have passed for that Parliament to call for a ceasefire. No, sorry, a permanent ceasefire, because it was all in the devil was in the detail of the wording. And the SNP cunt wanted a permanent ceasefire, and the Judai mind tricked it to say, like, well, we want a ceasefire, but only a sustainable ceasefire, which means we need to kill Hamas before we fucking stop fucking killing civilians. It's fucking disgusting.
And I have set out the urgent need for a ceasefire.
We need to get fishnets back.
We want a pathway to a two-state solution, a safe and secure Israel, alongside a viable sovereign Palestinian state. And I used my first overseas trip as Prime Minister, particularly at NATO, to raise this with world leaders. And under a Labour government, this subject will be discussed, negotiated, and fought for at the highest levels on the world.
Yeah, for months! For months! We're going to discuss it till they're fucking thingies come home!
Only one
the cows come home. The clouds come home. The cows come home. And fuck all will happen other than to continue smashing all the Palestinians.
In Edinburgh West who've expressed concerns about the implication for our state education system in Scotland of the VAT increase in independent fees, which he proposes. Edinburgh City Council, led by the Labour Party, have produced 5-year projections which show we do not have capacity in the city to accommodate pupils who may leave the independent sector. Moreover, how will he ensure that the VAT raised in Scotland from those fees can be reinvested in already hard-pressed Scottish education?
I do obviously understand the aspirations of parents who work hard.
I do, and I was given heads up about this question, although the appearance says I'm just getting asked questions of my MPs.
And I am determined that we will have the right teachers in place in our state secondary schools to ensure that every child, wherever they come from, whatever
see the Home Secretary of Cooper,
he's got pee, don't she? For that.
One of those pea heats.
Mr. Speaker, I welcome last week's announcement this government will be introducing a new publicly owned company, Great British Energy. This will be critical to ensure this country's energy security while meeting our climate goals and lowering energy bills. Will the Prime Minister make assurances to communities up and down the country that they will benefit from good skilled jobs?
Check this yellow top motherfucker kicking you off my channel, motherfucker. Go and find some freedom of speech forums, you prick.
Pleased that Great British Energy
stick Tommy Robinson's cock in your throat, choke on it.
Investing
although,
in the energy
if his dick is in proportion to his body.
Cheaper bills, renewables are cheaper. It means security, so Putin can't put his boot on our throat, and it means the next generation of jobs for years to come. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has achieved something that we didn't think would be
I didn't know there was 500 UK.
In less than 3 weeks, he has had a significant rebellion and he has suspended 7 of his members of Parliament, all for standing up for child poverty. This from a Labour government.
Labour!
For
the people, motherfucker! Sir Kier Starmer! The fucking worker! The working man's person! What a fucking scam!
For the election campaign with quite a significant number of SNP members and come back with a small handful. I really don't think lectures on what the electorate in Scotland are thinking. If you look at
Kier's on the gear! Kier's on the gear! He can't breathe through his nose because it's full of gear.
The point I made to his leader, perhaps the SNP needs to account for the 30,000 extra children in poverty in Scotland. Thank you.
Dan Tomlinson.
And that's only in Govan Hill, Little Sturgeon's constituency. Walk through Govan Hill, man, if you want to see a shithole of fucking Glasgow. I was speaking to a couple of Norwegian boys that came over here for the golf 2 nights ago, and they were staying in Govan Hill. But they were up towards the Queen's Park bit, which is a wee bit better, you know, but as soon as you go deep into Govan Hill, man, it's shithole and a half, man. Shithole.
Can I welcome my honourable friend to his place, the first ever Labour MP for Chipping Barnet, and I know he will serve his constituency with pride. And our guarantee will put 13,000 extra neighbourhood officers and PCSOs back on Britain Street.
It's not a mile and it's not square.
He's right to say that the last
and that's a
government
principality.
absolutely hammered
Another
police
principality,
numbers,
Washington
and he will have seen
DC.
the impact of that in his constituency.
That is
and
a
it telling that
10-mile
the former
square
Justice
diamond.
Secretary said at the
Kid
weekend
you not, go
that
and check
could
it out, man.
perhaps have been done differently. And I'm glad to see
Fuck's
that
sake,
people
man, that
have
Yvette
agree
Cooper
with
could
that
have got a
assessment
fucking
and
hair
returned
done or
him
something. What the
for that
fuck's that all about?
constituency.
That's me talking.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituents in Great Yarmouth have little doubt that uncontrolled legal and illegal immigration since 1997 has damaged and disrupted their community and undermined their public services. Does the Prime Minister agree that importing millions of people with no thought whatsoever to the brutal consequences has failed our country? I know the good people of Great Yarmouth would much appreciate a yes or no answer to this straightforward question.
Yeah. Welcome to my Saturday night game show. It's better than question night. Question time, news night, question time. All of them. It's called Yes, No, or Fucking Die. Politicians with a guillotine soundproof box, 2 cards, yes or no, and if they can't not answer yes or no, off with their head.
I'm not sure I agree with his numbers, but look, I do think that it's serious that the previous government lost control of our borders.
Previous government? Is there ever going to be a fucking Prime Minister that steps up to the plate and doesn't blame the shit show on the previous one, and the previous one blamed the shit show on the previous one, and the previous one blamed the shit show on the previous one, and the previous one blamed the shit show on the previous one? Is anybody sick of this shit? Is anybody even swallow it? No, yes, the Labour's going to save the world. It was all the Conservatives that fucked it up. They're all part of the same fucking house. Literally.
The opposition, when he was Prime Minister for 18 months, 50,000 people crossed the Channel. It's a serious issue that requires a serious answer. And that is why we will set up our Border Security Command to take down the gangs that are running this vile trade. What we won't
take down the gangs. Yeah, what we need to do is take down the drug gangs. That works. And remove what we do, take the people trafficking gangs down. Aye, that's going to work your fucking melty welly boot.
Biggest concentrations of offshore wind in the world. 100,000 homes could be powered through the Mersey tidal project. Yet some members opposite want to block the jobs, the lower bills and the energy security from renewable energy. So can I encourage my right honourable friend to resist the siren voices opposite and support a range of technologies, including the Mersey tidal project, to maximise the benefits of clean energy for our country?
Clean energy is at the heart of this mission-driven government. Boosting homegrown renewable energy is the best way to create new jobs, give us energy independence and lower bills for good. And that's why we'll be changing the planning
Governments
rules
always sound so great when they first get in.
Again. And not just the houses, but everything that we need,
time
including prisons, by the way, to make sure we can deal with the mess that we have inherited. I'm pleased to hear of the viable projects that are being advanced, such as the Mersey Tidal project, and we'll look at them carefully.
Lewis Clocking.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a privilege to be the first Conservative member to ask the new Prime Minister a question at PMQ.
It's the privilege!
Can the Prime
What?
Minister assure me and my constituents
my hair
in
especially for
that
this.
they will not just have a say, but a meaningful say over new development in the Greenbelt in their area?
Can I welcome the honourable member to his place and be clear, we intend to get Britain building. We will change the planning regime in order to do so. It's held us back for far too long. Young people have not been able to own a home until they're way past the age of 35, denying them the basic dream of home ownership. Of course, we will work with communities, but we will take the tough decisions that the last government ran away from.
Prime Minister, we've got much to be proud of in Ipswich, from a thriving arts and culture scene to beautiful parks and a stunning waterfront. Unlike our friends over the border in Norfolk, we also now have a Premier League football team again. Prime Minister is very welcome to join when Arsenal come visit next year. Despite all those positives, though, after the last 14 years, our town centre is really struggling and desperately needs help. Can the Prime Minister set out to this House the steps he will take to revive town centres like Ipswich?
Can I again welcome my honourable friend to his place?
I'm just reading a comment here, right, and it's about the Tommy Robinson video. A dude saying he has it in good authority that Tommy Robinson used to collect funds for the provost, it's like the provisional IRA, which it's weird because he's Irish, isn't he? He's of Irish descent, or he's got Irish in his family apparently, but fucking knows what's real and what's fake about that dude. So it does make you wonder, like, but obviously he's. Anyway, the funny comment I wanted, he hates Celtic even as a 10-year-old Rangers top like most junkies of a Garrett persuasion. Oh mate, I wish I kept my old Rangers tops, man, I really do. In fact, some of them might still be kicking about my moors actually, I need to check. Remember Tomley Shettleston hit on a 15-year-old Muslim girl? That's a fact, the video was on YouTube. Not seen that one yet, buddy. I need to check it out. Doesn't surprise me, man. Anyway, let's get back to Melted Well.
Congratulate Ipswich on their promotion, though not on, I think it's Boxing Day when they visit Arsenal. I'm going to resist the temptation that he puts in front of me to choose between Ipswich and Norwich. But on town centres, he's right that we need vibrant high streets. We need to make the change that we voted in to bring about, and that's why we will replace the business rate system to level the playing field. And we will absolutely address regional inequality throughout local growth plans.
Jim Ramsey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The UK is one of the most nature-depleted countries on Earth, so I welcome the government's signal that it's committed to nature recovery. This is critical to humanity's future as it affects everything from food security to public health and well-being. Please could the Prime Minister tell us how he'll show leadership personally on this existential issue, and in particular, will he attend the 16th Biodiversity COP later this year, and will the
maybe
UK
the PA sea
launching
levels
a
in
bid to host a
bloodstream
future
will reduce
UN Nature Summit?
because I'm having the long breaks.
We are committed to nature recovery. It's a really important issue
that
this government will tackle.
Man,
and he talks
especially when you're like coming down for the
leadership. And I'd ask him to show some, because it's extraordinary that elected to this House as a Green politician, he's opposing vital clean energy infrastructure in his own constituency. So I ask him, we will put the plans before this House, I ask him to back those plans.
Joe Powell. Mr. Speaker, on Sunday night at a community event in North Kensington attended by hundreds of people, 15-year-old Renee Graham was shot and killed in a senseless act of violence, and my heart goes out to his family and the wider community that is feeling anxious, frightened and shocked. Can the Prime Minister ensure that North Kensington gets support from this government at this difficult time, and can he outline what measures the government will take to tackle gun violence and prevent young lives like Renee's being taken in the future?
I thought we solved this after Dunblane.
Welcome my honourable
What's
friend to
happening,
his
man? It's
place,
almost
and
as if
thank him
people,
for
only the
raising
bad people
this
can get
awful
guns
case.
nowadays.
The loss of a teenage boy in West London is shocking, and our thoughts, and I'm sure I speak for the whole House, are with his family and friends.
How many people died just
I do urge the public to
this
support
man's get
the Metropolitan Police with any information which could help in their investigation.
All right, JP, my man.
Making streets safer is one of the 5 central missions of this government, and this is a shocking reminder of just how important that mission is. And we have an ambition to drive down this sort of violence.
Is that Mallow? Is it called Mallow Weed or something, mate? Or Mellow or Mallow?
The last few years, and it is
basically like
to hear of this particular incident.
Vickers.
It's the plant matter they used to spray with all that fucking fake shit and sell it as fake
most
meat.
recently
I'm pretty
committing
sure.
£1 billion to improving transport in our area. That
stuff.
money will protect
JP,
the future of our iconic transporter bridge,
Baby steps,
upgrade
innit?
Thornaby train station,
Baby
create a new
steps.
transport hub at Teesside Park and much, much more. Can the Prime Minister confirm, are we still getting our £1 billion or is Labour turning its back on Teesside?
Well, he
Good stuff,
talks
mate.
about
Did that
turning
work
its
then, aye?
back. I think he's
Time
the
will
sole
tell, they'll
remaining
probably come
Tory
back.
MP in the
They'll come money
North
off them.
or Teesside. I've already taken an early opportunity to make our commitment clear
Mullion
to
Leaf
the plans that we
I'm
need
not-
for
I'm-
economic
I
growth
don't know
across
that
the
side
country,
of things,
working with
mate, I've
all
never-
the mayors who are in place, including those
Water,
who wear a different rosette,
smoke
and
or
that's the
anything
way in
like
which we will take this forward.
Charlotte Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In a week where the National Police Chiefs Council have declared violence against women and girls a national emergency, Sky News has today published appalling accounts of sexual harassment and violence against women paramedics. Can the Prime...
Right. Just listen to that in the background. I think this was doing the rounds yesterday. And they would be like, it's an emergency! Oh, red alert, red alert, red alert! And then you would have the experts on and go, yes, well, some of it's actually down to women feeling more confident in reporting this stuff and all that. But it's still an emergency! Ah! Fuck me, man. I don't know, man. Are young dudes more prone to beating up women than my generation? Because in my generation, beating up women just isn't acceptable, man. It's just not cricket. You don't get any kudos points for fucking slapping a bitch, man. In fact, complete opposite. Has that changed with the younger generation nowadays? Fuck knows. Anyway, she would be on my front bench.
Prime Minister please update the House on progress towards the mission board to finally tackle this
She's in my
scourge in our society?
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for raising this, because it is such a serious issue, and we have made a commitment, a mission to halve violence against women and girls. Mr. Speaker, I know from my own experience dealing with these cases as a prosecutor and subsequently just how hard that will be to achieve. It does mean that we'll have to deliver in a different way. We'll have to roll up our sleeves and do difficult things that haven't been done in the past. And in answer to the specific question, we've started work already on the delivery board, and I look forward to updating her and the House on the progress that we're making on this really important issue.
Final question, Sir Roger Gale.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Another Freudian slip. The old dog is off the leash.
Good luck, mate. I hope it all comes off, JP. Hope it all works for you, man.
And the Leader of the Opposition for their supportive policies in relation to Ukraine. Their expressions today will have been of great comfort to thousands of Ukrainian residents in the United Kingdom who simply wish to return to their lawful homes. Further to the answer given to my honourable friend, the member for Broxbourne, can the Prime Minister tell the House how he's planning reforms which will smother fields in East Kent currently yielding bread-making wheat with houses is compatible with his own Secretary of State for Agriculture's desire to achieve sustainability?
Thank you for that question. We have to get economic growth in this country. We've had failure over the last 14 years, and the failure on
Fucking
economic
cancer!
growth
We have to fucking grow. We have to fucking grow. We have to fucking grow. Fuck every cunt else.
Prisons we need.
Standard of living. Fuck is all in the arse. Poverty. Fuck it. We have to fucking grow.
The building of
more. Honestly, it's like a fucking cancer.
Where the dream of home ownership for
Unless
most
it's
young
growing,
people is simply gone
it's
under
no
the
rotten.
previous government. To be over the age of 35 before you can get a secure roof over your head, of your own is a huge dash of drink. We're not going to listen to the party opposite. They put their case to the electorate. The electorate rejected them profoundly. And my advice would be, having sat at that dispatch...
Right, hold on, I've not even done that. I fell into the bottom of a bottle, so I've not caught up in all that. But what was the turnout for the general election? Does anybody know? I'll need to check that out. Because what I did hear, Jeremy Corbyn, when he lost, got more votes than this fucking cunt. Honestly, they stand in front of you and say that they rule and govern by consent, rule by majority. That's democracy. You know, the majority wins. Is it fuck? Crunch the numbers. Right, let me think about this. Right, so Boris Johnson got in with 12 and a half, roughly, I think, if memory serves. It was 12 million odds, right? And Boris Johnson and the Conservatives last general election got in with a big majority because they didn't have, Nigel Farage gave the Conservatives a lot of his votes. And you didn't have reform at that point. You didn't have the fracturing within the right wing of politics down south. You had Nigel Farage catering to Bobo's will. So if he got 12 million and Jeremy Corbyn lost, he must have got less than 12 million and he got less than Jeremy Corbyn, which means he got less than 12 million votes. In a country of 66, 68 million. In fact, I think it goes up. every couple of brown people in boats, man. It's ticking. It's ticking upwards.
Box for 4.5 long years is when you get rejected that profoundly by the electorate. It's best not to go back to the electorate and tell them that they were wrong. It's best to reflect and change your approach and change your party.
That completes questions. We'll let the front benches change over.
Pete, see all port cities like Ireland, like Belfast and Dublin. I believe they to be kind of like port cities, if you get me. They're on a river because that's why they like. Was it Dublin or Belfast that the Titanic was built in? Either or, but. Long story short, what I was going to say, ever since colonial times, there's been black, browns, all sorts. Especially in like Glasgow or over in Ireland with Belfast and Dublin and stuff like that. All the port cities. Since fucking Roman times, man. Romans weren't all walking about fucking dagled up, man. There's fucking all sorts in the Roman Empire because the Roman Empire was so big. This is nothing new. It's just, now it seems to be, they're creating ghettos. Oh man. For legal purposes, I won't even go into what happened last night.
So that's the conclusion of Kier Starmer's first Prime Minister's questions. And he took questions on issues like the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza, child poverty as well. Well, let's bring in our political correspondent, Joe Pike, who's been watching the debates for us from the House of Commons. What did you make of
you tell us what we just seen?
Prime Minister's questions, especially the fact that the questions from the Leader of the Opposition focused on foreign policy and not domestic issues?
That was absolutely fascinating, wasn't it, Catherine? If we're honest, I think it was a bit of an anticlimax. I was seated in the press gallery just above the chamber, being able to watch quite closely what was happening. I've been there when there's been tension, jeopardy, a wall of noise behind the Prime Minister, from the opposition where there's been heckling, laughter.
Was this one wee prick, wee wide motherfucker bouncing about this neck of the wood, man?
I think exactly.
You see the state here, looks like a fucking Ethiopian on a fucking. Looks like an Ethiopian who's fasting, man. Cheeky, wee bastard. I've already seen him getting knocked about a few times with a few votes, man. And I'm no far behind him. Wee prick, man. You wide old motherfucker.
Main parties agree. He focused on military support for Ukraine, but also national security. That meant that he wasn't being heckled or shouted at by this enormous group of new Labour MPs in the chamber was pretty quiet and gentle. Now, Ed Davey, now leader
things
of
are
the
heating
Party
up,
Liberal
man.
Democrats, did ask about social care.
Even the
Stephen
Akbar
Flynn, I
nutballs
think,
are getting a bit
who
fucking
is
antsy.
now the leader of a much smaller
Never mind
SNP
your
group,
locals.
who asked a question about the two-child
That's for fucking
benefit
sure.
cap that I think was perhaps the most spiky moment in proceedings, saying that Labour should get rid of that policy, something many Labour MPs privately support. And of course we saw 7 Labour MPs chucked out of the parliamentary party last night for voting against their own government. That's something that could be a bit of a problem in the coming weeks and months for Sir Kier Starmer. But today, Catherine, ultimately,
Well, JP, you know what they say, they don't tell
Rishi
you what
Sunak
they
decided
think.
not to go further
They tell
jugular
you
and instead
what they think
gave them,
about.
I think we could argue, some pretty softball questions.
Some softball questions, but can we read anything into the Prime Minister's performance?
What is Shushat? He's fuck all, he's a fart in a spacesuit, man, it's meaningless.
Also in the chamber, a senior civil
Who the hell's
servant
going to be the
who
next
sits
leader
in
of the
official
Conservatives,
box
man?
beside. This civil servant has prepared every single Prime Minister right back to Tony Blair. So
I
today
use
was the
Sky
8th
Bet,
Prime Minister. He
and
was
they're no
watching
taking
on with a
bets on
smile,
Nigel
chuckling
Farage coming in
at
next
moments,
PM in
because of course
2029.
he put together
I'm
this-
going to
this
walk into the
ring
bookies
binder
today at
full of
some
lots of
point
different notes
and see if
policies
they'll
and
give me some
different
odds.
photos of all
Earlier
the
you get
MPs
it
who are
on,
due
man.
to ask
Chit-ching,
questions.
better odds you'll
Actually, I
get,
think
you know.
Kier Starmer survived, did reasonably well, because there was nothing that unexpected.
just need to make sure I
Ed
keep my
Davey
betting
asked a
slip.
question about social care. He's been talking about that for months throughout the campaign. We know
Fucking
the
no
SNP
doubt
have very
lose it,
strong
man.
opinions on the two-child benefit cap. That's what Stephen Flynn went to ask upon. I'm sure Kier Starmer may have prepared a huge number of jibes at
Actually,
Rishi
he's good as
Sunak
Wolverine.
to sort of criticise him and his party. He didn't get a chance to use them because
messed
Sunak
up.
almost took the air out of proceedings with those questions focusing on national security and military support for Ukraine.
And what can we read into the Conservatives'
It's not military support, it's billions in fucking loans for military equipment, you dick. I love the way they spin this fucking war shite, you know? Yeah, it's killed poverty, we're not fucking going to stop the 2 children fucking policy and all that. Hey, Ukraine, a couple of billion in fucking loans. You owe us motherfuckers for years. How many years do you think it's going to take Ukraine to pay off all these billions of loans? And that's if they don't get a doing. Which looks very much a possibility, you know?
strategy here at Prime Minister's questions? Could it be because the party is still going through its own leadership race and I guess doesn't have pinpointed, defined policy positions?
I think it's partly that, and Rishi Sunak also knows that he is leader of the opposition for the sort of medium term now until early November, so he has sort of 3 more months of sort of leading the party, and of course after the summer holidays here at Westminster he will have to appear at PMQs many more times. I think he is probably looking at his own political future, wanting to be seen now post-election
a decent pair of
as a bit of a
sunglasses,
statesman,
right?
thinking about his legacy, wanting to look self-deprecating as he
And it's
did,
fucking
making jokes
cleaning
about
them.
him not giving advice to Olympians, people
And it's
competing
took
for
all
UK
the
at
fucking
the Olympics in Paris
blue
because he didn't have a
shine
great
shit off
record
it, man.
for winning. You know, sort of self-deprecating
shit.
humour that was evident in
So I've
his
got a new pair
questions,
coming today at some point.
and looking at areas where the parties agree. But will, Catherine, that
Rainbow
after
powered missiles.
the
I
summer
mean,
recess
I heard they were
will that
firing
change?
unicorn
Certainly,
horns at them.
when a new leader of the Conservative Party
Long
is
range
unveiled
unicorn
in early
horns.
November, the strategy
Oh.
will completely change because they want to G up.
They were sending in the
and motivate their
leprechauns with their
Conservative
fucking rainbows and pots of
so
gold.
that's the point where I'm sure you'll see a
Persuade
Conservative
Putin.
leader far more aggressive, and for Kier Starmer, that will be a far more challenging Prime Minister's questions.
And a question about the Labour Party itself. Have we seen a fallout from the decision to suspend 7 Labour MPs following that vote on the 2-child benefit cap?
No.
Yeah,
How dare you be on the side of the working people?
Ruthlessness from Kier
Fuck
Starmer.
next should be saying fuck it.
It's such an absolutely enormous.
I mean, what
stopping
choice do you
majority
have in that
the
house?
of, Commons.
Conservatives or
I think that is an
Conservative
issue
light?
that will continue to be
Or Conservatives
a problem
on
for
fucking
the Labour
steroids
government,
with
but they've made it very clear they need to always have ways to
Reform?
pay for policies that they believe are important. They argue that their economic inheritance of the Conservatives has not been great. When there is growth in the economy, I'm sure that could be a policy area they'll be thinking about a lot, and privately Labour MPs will push for a challenge on. But the view for Kier Starmer now seems to be that we need the economy to be in a better place before we amend a policy which will cost billions. But of course, I suppose it's also with those sort of the whip being removed from those 7 MPs last night, a moment where he's really asserting the absolute iron fist kind of level of control he has over his new MPs, because, yeah, he can lose 7 of them. That makes no difference when you have such an enormous majority.
Joe, thank you. That's our political correspondent, Joe Pike, speaking to us from the House of Commons there. Let's turn to Wales, which is set to get its first female leader. The deadline for nominations to lead the Welsh Labour Party has closed. The only name put forward was the Welsh Health Secretary.
I've heard about 20 million accents off this woman.
Is in recess and
first time I heard her, it was like Afrikaans.
Which is to be confirmed as First Minister before September. Well, let's speak to BBC's Hal Griffith, who joins us from Cardiff. Just tell us a bit more about Eluned Morgan. A lot of viewers might not know much about her.
Absolutely. She'll be quite new to some viewers within Wales, but that said, her roots are deep within Welsh Labour. In fact, she is the daughter of a former Labour councillor here in Cardiff and joined the party early on, became the youngest ever member of the European
best person for the job
when she was 27
obviously
back in the 90s. And for 30 years has served Labour there, then in the Lords, and most recently since 2016 she's been at this place in the Welsh Senate for the last few years in charge of the health service. So she's had the biggest and arguably most difficult brief within the Welsh Labour government. During her time, Labour struggling to tackle that issue of waiting lists. So she's been on the media plenty here, having to defend waiting times and poor performance in the NHS. But this will, of course, be her biggest brief yet. The First Minister of Wales when she eventually gets that nomination.
And Welsh Labour has been divided since Morgan became its leader just
part of the planet
a few months ago. What kind of a leader is Eluned Morgan
I've not heard anything's happening, right?
And will she be able to unite the party there in Wales?
Well, she put herself forward as an unity candidate and named a deputy, Hugh Ranker Davis, with the thought that he might bring some of his friends and colleagues into the party as well. So far, that seems to have gone well because, in fact, she's uncontested. No one else decided to put their name against Eluned Morgan, and she received nominations from 26 out of the...
I don't give a flying fuck. I'll leave that for the Welsh to worry about, man. Labour getting in Wales? I'm fucking shocked. Did they not have Plaid Cymru or something? Their version of SNP? I thought they were doing well, but I must be mistaken. So there we have it, folks. Sir Kier Starmer's first PMQs. Was that no hard hitting? Was that no like democracy in action? Questions that he knows that is going to get asked for him, and then he stands up and gives the scripted answer to. You know, and everyone, what a pile of shite. So, I'm going to go and make the most of the rest of the day. I didn't even have time to set up my camera and all that. But hey ho. Fucking pain in the ass. You know, maybe it's time for a new webcam. Strong possibility, man. Right, there we go. And then, spot on. Frame perfect. Alright, you all have a good one as well. Stay tuned, man. My sleeping patterns are fucked right now, so I'm getting up late. I'm going to hopefully do a couple of daily politics shortly, when I've had enough break for the dead babies and bodies, you know. It's always good to mix it up a wee bit. Instead of just constantly glued to the fucking doom and the war here, a war, a little war here, a little war there, here a war, there a war, everywhere a war, war. It's almost like Oprah. was dishing out fucking war, wasn't it? It was like, war for everybody! Look under your seats, you'll find an AK! Now get fucking started! I'm pretty sure the internet has made you fucking hate some cunt that you don't know, never met. Go and fucking AKs for everybody! War for everybody! Go and kill the people you hate because the internet tells you so! So, thanks everybody in the chat. Stick a wee thumbs up, sub, bell up, all that jazz. And I don't know, some news.
Christopher and Janine Barton, who were both travelling on a motorbike, also died.
Oh, fuck.
Now, in the UK, police have arrested a 24-year-old man on suspicion of attempted murder after a British Army soldier was stabbed near a barracks in...
Now remember, in Tommy Robinson universe, this is a terror attack. They're lying to us. Even though they've arrested a 24-year-old man, and I don't know about yous, I've never heard of an army dude getting into a fight. Oh, no, that doesn't happen, you know. They're just constantly just fucking frog marching or boot marching, whatever that marching, everywhere. And they never get into fights. Never, ever, 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 ever. So let's hear. This is a terror attack in Tommy Robinson.
The soldier, who was in uniform at the time, was airlifted to hospital where he's in a serious condition. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has described the attack as shocking and appalling. Officials say they do not believe it was terrorism related. Our reporter Aruna Iyengar has the latest from Chatham.
Did she just say it was or wasn't?
The soldier, who was in uniform at the time, was airlifted to hospital where he's in a serious condition. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has described the attack as shocking and appalling. Officials say they do not believe it was terrorism related. Our reporter Aruna Iyengar has the latest.
I fucking stand corrected, man. More fool me for listening to the news. This morning, it wasn't terror related. Did she slip up there and say it was? I mean, she meant to say it wasn't. Let's have a wee fucking shifty. Knives seized after attack on army officer in Kent. This was updated an hour ago. Uniformed soldier in his 40s, 24-year-old man, arrested. The stabbing is not being treated, so I think she fucked up there. I think she fucked up there and misspoke, you know. It happens. Happens all the time. I sometimes listen back to my clips and I'm saying Iraq instead of Iran and all sorts of shit. But I'm a big bit fucking stupid and dyslexic, so that's bound to happen. But I think she misspoke there. Police have now said that a number of knives have been seized at the scene. So the cunt must have fucking rocked up with the idea of attacking some cunt. May have been mental health related. Right. Let's just see what we can see. Where's the most recent one? 4 minutes ago. That BBC report was an hour ago when it wasn't a terror attack. So, let me see. Knives seized from scene. So the cunt, it wasn't it, like, when I first heard it, my first sort of a thinking was it's an army dude that got into a fight, you know. It happens. So, number of knives have been recovered. Fighting for his life. Victim understood to be wearing full uniform. Number of knives have been seized. The incident unfolded. 24-year-old man who fled the scene on a motorbike remains in custody. They have not ruled out terrorism as a motive. Time will fucking tell, eh? So apologies to the Tommy Robinson cult. Right, hold on, there's updates in it. So, what was that? That was a couple of minutes ago. Forensics offers enter property near arrest location. Other forensic offers with sniffer dogs. One resident heard a helicopter. Another said he saw a man in handcuffs being led away. The Prime Minister said the whole Commons was shocked. We wish him swift recovery. Police yet to rule. So that was 11:30. Right. Kent police have not yet ruled out the attack being terror related, but cited mental health issues as a possible explanation. Time will tell, eh? Time will tell. I mean, if his name's fucking Abdul Muhammad, man, you've got to be wondering. They were gutted about the daylight attack. Wife of victim was heard calling for medical help. Neighbours heard women screaming. Get off him as attack unfolded. Fuck's sake, was it at his house or something? Terrorism not yet ruled out. That was at fucking 10:10. Fuck. Some of the news thingies were just saying mental health things at that point. Pretty sure, because that's roughly when I got up. Cordons remain in place. So, she didn't misspeak.
It's from Chatham in Kent. Well, we can say that the 40-year-old soldier who was attacked yesterday evening has been suffering from serious injuries and is in hospital at the moment. He was airlifted out of here. People who have described what happened last night, they said that there was a lot of activity, helicopters. One person described hearing a scream and then a woman running out of a house and trying to protect the man who was attacked. We understand from the army that the man who was attacked was a soldier, and the BBC has understood that he was wearing uniform at the time of the attack. Now, the Home Office has said this morning that they are not treating this as a terror-related incident. We've also been getting political...
mixed messages and a half, man, innit? Hey, hold on.
And trying to protect the man who was attacked. We understand from the army that the man who was attacked was a soldier, and the BBC has understood that he was wearing uniform at the time of the attack. Now, the Home Office has said this morning that they are not treating this as a terror-related incident. We've also been getting political responses. We've heard from the Defence Secretary, John Healey, who...
Right, look, that's 12:51. 12:51, so this was after that. But it was about 11 bells. Hold on, what did it say about the fucking not ruling out a terror attack? It was about... Right, 10:10, terrorism not yet ruled out. Right. The latest thing is saying they're not treating it as a terror attack. See, I'm going to hold my wheest and not make any conclusions until everything comes out in the wash. I mean, just the way a lot of people's heads are at right now, you know, you could see somebody having a vendetta on the army. But who knows, time will tell. Maybe it was a personal feud, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a vulgar, but the guys seem to be going, aye mate, seem to be tooled up. Plenty of knives and all that jazz. Anywho, I'm going to fuck off and get myself to the gym. So thanks everybody, sub up, bell up, check in tomorrow and I'll see if I can do a wee daily politics at some time. It depends what time I wake up, my sleep patterns are I'm all shite, but I'm just getting up late on me. I need to get back to getting up at the crack of dawn. Alrighty, boob tubes. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time. Cat cheese, no cats or cheese. Harmed in this filming. Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.